Aloha interwebs, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today is Tuesday, so we're gonna pretend it's Monday. We need to do a Monday movie review, which I wasn't too super excited about when it came out. This newest reboot of the Bond genre, I was really disappointed. I thought the first one fell flat, so I was kind of disappointed in that particular movie, just because I really like to watch parkour. I like to watch people do flips and jump off things and whatnot, and the opening sequence of Casino Royale was really pretty cool. And I actually bought the movie because of that, but it's actually still sitting downstairs, unwrapped in plastic. But we're not talking about Casino Royale. Anyways, the newest rendition of, or the newest segment of the reboot James Bond film came out this year. That's Skyfall. And I wasn't too super excited about seeing it. I felt like it was going to be let down because the first two of the newest reboot, they weren't that great. Quantum of Solace was just not exciting. It's not what I like to get out of a Bond film, and I was actually surprised about this one. So we're going to talk about it. Watch the trailer first.
She sent you after me knowing you're not ready, knowing you would likely die. Mommy was very bad.
So that was Skyfall, and I actually liked this one. This particular movie was, of the newer releases of this reboot, again, was actually pretty good. I liked it, and I think it was kind of because it gets back on track of, say, like previous, the previous movies with previous Bonds. It's more, evil villain, James Bond. You have the one villain and the one hero, and they duke it out kind of movie. So in this newest rendition of 007, we have Daniel Craig back at the helm as James Bond, which I like. I liked him since the beginning of the reboot. I think he's got a good style for this particular genre of movie. He's a physically fit guy. He's just got that staunch appearance, that face. And we have Dame Judi Dench back at the helm for M, and she also does a good job. I really like her in this newest reboot of James Bond as the M character. A short synopsis of this movie, if you will, is that James Bond is trying to get back some stolen information. In the process is injured, and they presume that he's dead. And then yet another threat comes up against the MI6 program itself, and he comes out of hiding to kind of right the wrongs and figure out what's going on and avenge king and country, if you will, and get to the bottom of the story. Overall, the film, it was paced good, even though it does have its down parts, not a lot of action going on, but I think it's paced well. There's a fair amount of story, fair amount of action. The acting was done really well. I think that this cast plays off of each other. It turns out to be somewhat more of a ensemble cast, kind of a smaller group of people making things happen. It is definitely the best one of the newer reboot of the James Bond line of movies. It's a decent James Bond movie. I wouldn't say that it's the best James Bond movie. It's the best that came out of the newest reboot of the three, Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale. It's definitely the best one of those, but I wouldn't say it's the best James Bond movie. I think probably one of my favorite Bond movies is GoldenEye, and I kind of compare this one to that. Not really compare it, but it's reminiscent of that, in that this particular storyline, you end up finding out in Skyfall that the ultimate villain was a 00 agent that is seeking revenge against the MI6 program, which is why James Bond comes back out of injured reserve, if you will, to track him down and bring him to justice, kill him, because he has a license to kill. That's what he does. It's his job, and I like that aspect. I like when James Bond has a singular person to go after. And it just makes it so much nice and neater when that one person is basically just bent on revenge. So it becomes a James Bond versus villain scenario, and not like James Bond versus this ideal. Sometimes in the past you get villains that want to take over the world, or destroy the world's economy, or take over the mass media, whatever. There's a lot of times where the villain has this grand scheme of something, contrived and blown out of proportion, and James Bond's got to go in there and stop it. And sometimes that theme can get outplayed in this particular, string of. There's 23 of these movies. They can't all be about one person taking over the world and James Bond trying to stop it. Sometimes it's just about revenge. That's why I like this one. Some things that I didn't like about Skyfall was James Bond. Like, he had, it's awesome actually. If you go back and if you go and you watch, especially GoldenEye, but whenever Pierce Brosnan's running, whenever the 007 is running, and it's very physical, there's gunfights or fights, he doesn't ever breathe hard. It's like a super ninja, he just keeps on going, he keeps on outsmarting, he keeps on moving, and you think that he's trapped, and he's not trapped, he just keeps on going. And Daniel Craig brings that same feeling to the James Bond character. Casino Royale was like that, he ran forever, it's like running after the parkour guy. And anytime he was running, fighting, swimming, whatever, he never breathed hard. How gangster is that? How would you like to be running? And all the bad guys are breathing really hard, but you run, you turn around, you see the guy, and he's not even breathing hard. That's kind of intimidating. I wouldn't want a guy like that chasing me. So that's a really interesting characterization that Daniel Craig brings to this character. And he started off doing that in Casino Royale, and then you get to, James Bond Skyfall, and he gets injured on the job, and he does his own form of rehab. And when it comes time for him to go back into active duty, he's kind of off kilter. He's still getting, over his injuries. But in past movies, even past actors, they've all been injured. They've all had to come out to recoup. But for me, especially coming from like a comic book background, it's very like Batman-ish that he never shows those injuries. He just keeps on going. And in this particular movie, he was off a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know if James Bond could be off. I don't know if James Bond gets hurt. I don't think James Bond gets tired. I don't think James Bond gets, he gets injured, yeah, but I don't think that he shows it. And in this movie, it shows him being a little bit off, and he has to do a little work to get back on his game. And that's realistic, honestly. After everything he went through, he got shot off a train. But yeah, everything that he went through, you need a little rehab time. But I don't know, you just don't show it, or you just don't see it, or it happens really quick. And that's the kind of the super spy, superhero thing. It's not like they're mutants, he ain't Wolverine, he can't heal really fast, but you just don't have to see that. It kind of lessens the hero in my eyes a little bit, the way that this particular characterization of the 007 hero had been portrayed. So that's one thing I didn't really like, but at the same time I was like, that's That's realistic. You're going to have to do some repairs after getting shot off a train. I let myself just kind of be taken over by the movie, and I didn't even realize that, because going into it, you know, it's called Skyfall, and there's absolutely positively zero mention of why it's called that until the end of the movie, where you find out that Skyfall is the name of James Bond's, this particular representation of James Bond is his like home estate. That's where he was born and raised, and where his parents lived. There's a piece of land and property, and that's where the final showdown takes place, at James Bond's kind of birth place. And that's when you notice, when he pulls in, there's a sign, a placard going into the estate that it's called Skyfall. And when I saw that, and I realized that that's why it's called Skyfall, I was like, wow, you know, I didn't even notice that they hadn't even brought it up until then, and I wasn't expecting that to be why it was called Skyfall. But I thought that was a pretty cool thing, especially since I wasn't expecting that, and it just kind of slapped me in the face. I like it when movies slap me in the face. What can I tell you, interwebs? But yeah, those are my overall impressions of Skyfall. I dug it, and I think you would too, so you should check it out. Before we wrap up today, I wanted to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, Caleb. He has his own YouTube channel. I'll put that down here somewhere. He does movie reviews, and you should follow him on Facebook, because he does a lot of work to make sure that he's knowledgeable about movies, about production, about things that involve film, and especially the ones that he's excited about. And then he brings that to the plate when he does his movie reviews on YouTube. So check him out. It's a fun channel, Crack Nation. Thanks for stopping by the channel, Little Ribs. I appreciate you coming by. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Let me throw this out at you, interwebs. Who was your favorite James Bond? Not necessarily your favorite James Bond movie, but the actor who played Bond. Me personally, I think it was Pierce Brosnan. I really like the way that he plays Bond, and the kind of swagger that he brought to that role. I think before that, I would have said Sean Connery, and actually Sean Connery is still like right up there. It's kind of bumping against Pierce Brosnan, but I really like the way Pierce Brosnan played 007. So that's mine. Who's yours?